All right, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Russian River Brewing Company, and they're out of both Santa Rosa and Windsor, California, and this is their Row 2 Hill 56. So this is an American pale ale that is brewed solely with Simcoe hops. It comes in at 5.4% alcohol by volume, 65 IBUs, and at the time of review, this bottle is just over 6 weeks old. I want to give a huge thanks, shout out once again to a very good friend of mine and a viewer of the channel, Billy, for this beer. So big thanks to him. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that Billy hooked me up with, and that aforementioned beer mail contained nothing but Russian River beers, 7 of them. We have another here, and I'm really excited about this one. So the backstory on this one I will talk about as I crack it open here, but the co-owner and brewmaster at Russian River, Vinnie, he many years ago took a trip to Yakima, Washington to pick out some hops, and when he was there, he kept on hearing Row 2 Hill 56, and finally learned that that was the area in their experimental hop farm where the first ever Simcoe hop was planted. At that point, it was not called Simcoe, based on this label, which I like the label, I love the colors and everything, but it has YCR-014, and I'd imagine that was the experimental name for Simcoe. Could be wrong, so if somebody out there knows, let me know. But he wanted to pay homage and honor to the Simcoe hop, so he made this beer and he named it in honor of the experimental land where it was planted. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, this beer definitely looks like a pale ale. It has this golden straw color, has just under a finger of a really creamy looking head, pretty clear. It's not like the clarity's not, 100%. There's a little bit of haze in there. You hold it up to a light little bit, a little bit of hop particulates and just very fine haze. But, the clarity's pretty solid, but it just looks like a beautiful, absolutely beautiful looking pale ale. So let's get a nose on it. Wow. This is just over 6 weeks old. This smells so fresh. Absolutely so vibrant. It's immaculate, the nose. Oh, so I'm getting a ton of like ripened white peach, apricot, heavy stone fruit. There's grapefruit. There's like a white grapefruit, citrus, a little bit of orange. It also has that, funky dank thing that Simcoe back in the day used to really, people would say cat pee, right? It has a little bit of that. It's not over the top, but it has such a like dank floral essence to the nose. There's a strong crackery kind of malt base to it as well. Just smells like it's going to be such a clean beer too. Like it's just going to be so clean and refreshing. There's a touch of like a watermelon rind or like a honeydew rind, like some kind of melon rind I'm getting. Zesty lemon. I just 5.4%. This is kind of blowing me away. I recently had a hazy pale ale from Grow, which is a local brewery here in Western New York. And I said, as far as like body and mouthfeel and flavors go, for a 5.5% beer, it drank like a 7.5, 8. This has the nose of like an 8%, 8.5% double IPA. It's that vibrant. I was not expecting this. And it's all Simcoe hops. This smells fucking awesome. There's also like a little bit of a candied vibe, but not like overly so. So this isn't like a super sweet, hazy in the nose. It just, it smells, okay. This smells awesome. One of the best noses I've had in a sub 5.5% beer, maybe ever. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Billy. That's fucking fantastic for 5.4%. Oh my God. I just want to drink this. I just want to drink it all down right now. Like, fuck the review, talking about it. This is delicious. Holy shit. Body on this one, 5.4%. This is like medium, a touch over medium. Impressive. It's still light enough on its feet to let you know this is more of a chugger, a crushable, refreshing, take it down, sessionable beer. But it's big enough where I don't think anybody would call this like thin and watery ever. And if they do, then I don't know, maybe different batches or something. This is fantastic. The mouthfeel, it's a little bit softer than anticipated. Sure, it has like a approaching moderate carbonation, so it is a little bit crisp and effervescent and dancing on the tongue as far as the carbonation goes, but it's really smooth on the palate. It's a pretty clean beer overall as well. This is awesome. First thing hits me at the tip of the tongue, a lot of citrus, white grapefruit, navel orange, a little bit of like a lemon zest. As it continues on, I get hit with the crackery kind of malt base, and it dives underneath the palate, but it's omnipresent in a good way. It's a little bit bigger than a lot of times when I say, hey, the malt hits and the dives underneath the palate. Here it really does, but it's also noticeable throughout the palate. So while it's omnipresent, it's very noticeable in certain areas. From the palate and on the finish, I'm getting that crackery malt. Third of the way, middle of the palate, 2/3 of the way, in that range. That ripened white peach, apricot, the rind of a honeydew melon or a watermelon, it hits me, and it's beautiful. Explosion of fruitiness, but again, it's not too sweet, it's not too over the top. It's just, it just balances out everything else that's happening in my mouth right now. On the back of the palate, this finishes semi to full on dry. This has an approaching, I'd say, I'll say straight on moderate bitterness. Maybe not. It's mild to moderate, more approaching moderate. This is one of the most balanced pale ales I've ever had, because it has like, the sweet malt character, it has the fruitiness, but then it also has a nice, semi-dry finish, but then it comes in with the almost approaching moderate bitterness. And on the back of the palate, I'm left with this floral, dank, slight, again, cat pee, whatever you want to call that. It's on the back of the palate, and it's awesome. And that kind of lingers with that bitterness, but also that crackery malt dives back up on the palate on the finish. 5.4%, you can't tell. Like I said, this honestly, the nose screamed 8 to 8.5% double IPA, and the taste is like I'm drinking a 7.5% IPA. I want more beers like this that are, sub 6%, that drink like they're 8 or 9, because where I am personally in life, with my health issues over the past couple of years and what's happened, I could drink a couple bottles of this and be okay, because it's 5.4%. And if the flavor is this good, I don't need something that's 8, 9, 10%. Now, I know a lot of people out there like it. They like to get their buzz on. They like to, feel good. For me, I'll get there with a couple bottles of these, but I'll be able to drink more. And this is just great. It's not a 5 out of 5 because a 5 out of 5 to me, like this is, I'll say this, as far as like rating goes, this is a 5 out of 5 for a Simcoe Pale Ale. 100% is 5.5. Personal preference, it's still really fucking high for me. Like real high. Not a 5 out of 5, but it's high. Let me pour the rest in here. People talk about Pliny the Elder, Blind Pig. I'll just be honest with you. Maybe my palate's broken today. Maybe people have different opinions. I think that's what it is. But this to me is as good. Now, this is better than Blind Pig to me. I know that's going to sound crazy for some people, but for what I'm looking for, this is fucking dynamite. And maybe not as good as Pliny, but it's in the realm. I don't know. Row 2, Hill 56 from Russian River. Let me get one more sip before I rate this. This is awesome. It's an awesome fucking beer. I think a beer like this, like I just reviewed the Mind Circus. You're going to see this probably like 4 or 5 days after that from them, their hazy IPA. That is a beer where it's like, I know Russian River, that is not their forte. That's not what they do. And it was still pretty solid, right? This is what they do. Blind Pig is what they do. Pliny the Elder is what they do. Some of their wild out, that's what they do. And this would be a perfect beer to give to someone and be like, yeah, this is what Russian River does. If you don't like Simcoe hops, you're probably not going to enjoy this. But if you do, I can't see how you wouldn't. This is fucking a fantastic Simcoe Pale Ale. The best I've probably ever had. Off the top of my head, probably, it's up there as one of my favorite pale ales ever. So I'm going to give this beer a low 4.75. I'm going to go 4.7. This is fucking spectacular, is what this is. Like, spectacular. And, you know, I always say, oh, don't go into reviews with preconceived notions. And I'm not saying I did with this one, but I didn't expect to be sitting here telling you this is a 4.7 out of 5 for a personal preference. And I think they nailed it as a 5 out of 5 of a style. No, just, anyway, price point availability. I have no idea. Billy sent it my way. If Billy, you know, remember what you paid for this one, or Bud, or anybody out there, Jesse in California, anybody in California that watches my reviews, what is the price point for this? I mean, based on what I just gave it, I would easily pay like $6 a bottle for that. I mean, I know I think that's kind of what Pliny goes for, maybe even Blind Pig, but like that's up there with one of my favorite beers from Russian River. So like, yeah, I'd easily pay $6 for that bottle. It's only 5.4% Simcoe Parallel, but it's fucking awesome. And availability, I have no idea. I'd assume this, you know, probably makes it into distro somewhat for Russian River, but I have no idea. So if anybody knows, comment section. If you've had this one before, post a comment section. I'm sure there's gonna be some of you who had this one and be like, yeah, it was just all right. To each their own. To me, like, let me take one more sip. Just to confirm it, even though I've had like a half dozen. Yeah, this is so well made for what this beer is supposed to be. And now it's starting to change a little bit too. I got a little bit of like a lemony, kind of lemon zest, lemon pith now on the finish. This is what I want. If someone says here's Simcoe Pale Ale and it looks like that, the taste, the aroma, this is exactly what I want. So yeah, anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by. Huge thanks to Billy. Huge thanks to Billy for all of these Russian River beers, but this one so far, it's up there. Anyway, to the next one. Cheers.